If you ever used to think of the Oval Office as a dignified place where serious people discuss serious issues in a serious manner, today the reality of what it's become became clear. Today, the Oval Office was used as a backdrop, like the fake boardroom set on a reboot of The Apprentice, except on this White House show, the contestants don't have to pretend that they want to work for Donald Trump. In fact, later, one of the participants even questioned the president's manhood. The whole thing started when the president called cameras into the Oval Office during a meeting with House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. He called the cameras in. It wasn't just accidentally that they were there, and this happened in front of cameras. It was planned. The vice president was there, too. You wouldn't really know it, though, because he didn't say anything. He just sat silently, at times staring down at his hands, while the president tried to both star in and produce the show. Now, it might have gotten away from him a little bit with the top congressional Democrats not going along with the script he had in mind, but certainly taking part in the made-for-TV event.
We've gained in the Senate. Nancy, we've gained in the Senate. Excuse me, did we win the Senate? We won the Senate.
When the president brags that he won North Dakota and Indiana, he's in real trouble.
I did.
Let me say this.
We did win North Dakota and Indiana. It's called transparency.
I know, it's not transparency when we're not stipulating to a set of facts and when we want to have a debate with you about saying we confront some of those facts without...
You know what? We need border security. That's what we're going to be talking about, border security. If we don't have border security, we'll shut down the government.
And that, in the middle of the jabs and the interruptions and the grandstanding and other Real Housewives reunion techniques, was the main substance of the show. Perhaps this was orchestrated by the president to appeal to his base, to make him look tough, to create headlines that would distract from the constant headlines being made by the Mueller investigation, or as Maggie pointed out, to distract from the Cohen sentencing, which may happen tomorrow, or more on the Cohen case, what we may learn tomorrow. Whatever the motive, the president wanted to make one thing clear. He says he wants his wall, and if he doesn't get the money he wants for it, in 10 days, he'll shut the government down.
If we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you, through a military, through anything you want to call, I will shut down the government.
Okay, so the president says he'll shut down the government. He can do that, I suppose, if he wants to, and we'll get into whether or not that's a smart political play for him or not. But what we'll deal with first is what it always seems like we deal with when it comes to this administration, the immigration issue, and that is, simply put, the lying about facts. Because you can argue for or against the merits of the current immigration policy all you want, or the border wall, but if you do it, you got to at least have basic facts right, especially if you're the president of the United States, or at least you should. So again, that's where we're starting right now. Keeping them honest, first about the president's claims about a new wall.
One thing that I do have to say is tremendous amounts of wall have already been built. And a lot of wall, when you include the renovation of existing fences and walls, a lot of wall has been built. We don't talk about that, but we might as well start because it's being built right now. But the wall will get built. A lot of the wall is built. It's been very effective.
A lot of the wall has been built, but they don't talk about that very much because they don't want to, make a big deal about the wall. If there was actually new border wall being built, do you think they wouldn't have actually, moved the whole White House down there for a couple days to show us? Keeping them honest, the wall has not been built. Not a lot of it, not tremendous amounts of it, none of it. The wall that the president promised over and over and over again that he would build, that has not happened. The big, beautiful border wall, that Mexico is going to pay for it, it does not exist. The only new wall, and it is a very strong one, sits on the border between much of what the president says and the facts.
People are pouring into our country, including terrorists. We have terrorists. We caught 10 terrorists over the last very short period of time. 10. These are very serious people. Our border agents, all of our law enforcement has been incredible what they've done. But we caught 10 terrorists. These are people that were looking to do harm. We need the wall. We need, more important than anything, we need border security, of which the wall is just a piece.
So keeping them honest, we checked with the Department of Homeland Security. They didn't have any specific information about 10 terrorists being caught over the last very short period of time, as the president said. Department of Homeland Security referred us to previously issued information not specific to the border wall or to the southern border at all, referring to efforts all around the world to prevent people on terror watch lists or suspected terrorists or people who have connections to terrorism suspected of trying to enter the U.S. On average last year, every day, the Department of Homeland Security says that they stopped 10 people tied to terrorism or suspected of from trying to travel to the United States. Has nothing to do with the wall or even the southern border per se. It's, in embassies overseas trying to get visas. It's all over. In fact, a State Department terrorism report released just back in September, so under President Trump, said that by the end of 2017, there was no credible evidence of international terrorist groups establishing bases in Mexico, working with Mexican drug cartels, or crossing into the United States from Mexico. That's the President's State Department. In the meeting, the president also touched on a favorite Fox News talking point, the notion that people are pouring over the border, bringing in disease. After the meeting, he talked about it again.
Democrats, so most of them, it's hard to believe, but most of them want open borders, and that leads to crime and leads to other problems. And, one of the problems that people don't talk about, you have a tremendous medical problem coming into a country. Communicable disease, tremendous problems. People don't want to talk about it. I don't like talking about it.
Again, if there was huge amounts of communicable diseases being carried across our southern border, do you think he wouldn't want to talk about it? Democrats aren't calling for open borders. They might not want to approach the issue the same way as the president, but open borders, that's not an argument the Democrats are actually championing. B, there is no evidence of tremendous problems of people coming into the country bringing communicable diseases. There's plenty of communicable diseases here, by the way. They're already here. Keeping them honest, the medical journal The Lancet says the stereotype that migrants are disease carriers is one of the most prevalent myths about migration. Just last week, it issued a new report with international data analysis calling it just that, a myth. It might be an effective fear tactic, but it's not based in fact. Look, we know this is all the same refrain to the same old song. The lies the president told today about parts of the wall already being built. He's been whistling that tune for a while, even after it was proven to be untrue. Back in March, the president tweeted this: "Great briefing this afternoon on the start of our southern border wall." Oh, look, there's a picture of our new southern border wall. That's the one that Mexico is paying for. Keep them honest, that's not the start of a new southern border wall. And the pictures the president included in that tweet, our Gary Tuchman went to check it out, went to that place in Calexico, California. Those pictures of the supposed start of the wall, it's here, it's this. It was replacement fencing of existing wall, of existing fencing, nothing new. Gary spoke with the local mayor and a Mexican official as well.
We all as a community want to make sure that the people out there in this country know that Calexico, California is not the beginning of a wall project for the Trump administration. It is completely different.
The director of international affairs for the neighboring city of Mexicali wasn't as diplomatic.
We knew that it was a lie.
So here's what happened when Gary Tuchman confronted the vice president, who was also in Calexico.
Mr. Vice President, this is a fence replacement project. There's been a fence here for decades. This is nothing new. President Trump tweeted that this is the beginning of our southern border wall. Do you acknowledge this is not the beginning of the southern border wall that he promised voters?
This is the beginning of the southern border wall. This was from fiscal 17 budget. This is a replacement project, but if you will, look at the border wall. This new wall is roughly 2 or 3 times taller than the wall that was here today.
So they're doing routine repairs on existing fencing, not building that big, beautiful new border wall paid by Mexico, which you remember that part of the campaign promise, don't you?
I promise we will build the wall.
And who's going to pay for the wall? Who's going to pay for the wall? Who? It'll be a great wall. Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Mexico is going to pay for the wall. Mexico will pay for the wall.
Mexico. The president repeated that one today, actually, to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer after the cameras stopped rolling. Apparently, he said Mexico is going to pay for the wall as part of the renegotiated NAFTA deal. A Mexican government official familiar with the issue responded saying Mexico's position remains the same, and I'm quoting, "Mexico will not pay for it, no matter how you spin it." Multiple times in that meeting today, the president said he'd proudly shut down the government over this and not blame anyone else, including Schumer.
I will take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it. The last time you shut it down, it didn't work. I will take the mantle of shutting down. And I'm going to shut it down for border security.
But we believe you shouldn't shut it down.